So the first meditation again was Chopra and Oprah, but these were like guided meditations, you can say. That's what the 21-day meditations were. And then when I got to the Chopra Center, that was my first time kind of having a deeper meditation practice, if you want to say. He calls his primordial sound meditation, and it's concept wise similar to TM because you're using a mantra. His mantras are different than what Maharshi's mantras are. Maharshi's are trademarked and so are Deepak's now, but he has a different style. And I did it for maybe like 3 months and it just didn't fit. It
Huh.
didn't fit what I was doing at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So I remember at that time I was transitioning over to Paramahansa Yogananda, probably like 3 or 4 months after the Chopra Center. He's a guru who came over in like 1910, 1920, somewhere around there, and started the Kriya Yoga technique. And that's
That's the
when he,
book that's autobiography of a yogi, right? That's the
correct,
book
that's
you're
what I
talking
read
about.
first.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'm hearing about like all of these, because the autobiography is he's telling a story about all of these different saints and higher consciousness people that he met on his path, and all of these things, these works, that Christ was
Yeah.
telling me about in the prison. Now I was like, man, you telling me it's more than Christ that's doing this? All right. And so I'm hearing
Yeah.
like all of these miraculous things that Yogananda was talking about that other people were doing. And it kind of gave me a different perspective on my own personal journey because my journey started with, man, I may be able to do these works of Christ. And now I'm hearing that other people are doing this. I wanted to learn more about what Yogananda was teaching. So I did he talked about in the book that he had these lessons that you can go through to learn how to do Kriya Yoga. And so I started his lessons and I started doing Kriya Yoga and it was great. Like I probably liked that the most, if I'm being honest, because it was teaching how to move energy with your mind and how to bring the energy up the spine to the third eye to stimulate the pineal and get to these higher states of consciousness. So if you're looking at the philosophy of yoga, asanas is only one limb of eight. There's eight different ways to reach enlightenment or reach yoga. One of them is asanas and one of them is pranayam. So he was teaching a pranayam limb in order to reach the state of yoga or reach enlightenment. And when I started doing it, I could really feel this energy moving throughout the body as I'm leading it with my mind. And I thought that was the most fascinating thing. Like at the time, I was like, I was in awe of it and I was doing it all the time, like 3, 4 times a day. I remember one day I was doing it after a hatha yoga class and I'm
Nice.
sitting there. I just did a whole hatha class, asana class. And then I started doing the Kriya Yoga. And I was in a yoga center when I was doing it. And all of a sudden, I felt like this voltage of electricity going throughout my body. This is what I was feeling inside. And what the people told me that they saw that they thought I was like having a seizure. And I ended
Oh
up
Oh.
shit.
falling out and hitting my face on the concrete, end up having to get staples or stitches or something.
Dang.
And this was like another, for me, it was crazy
Yeah,
in
no
that
doubt.
way. But also it was like a validation, like, man, I really am moving
Yeah.
energy. And then I just moved so much that I almost felt like I electrocuted myself.
Yeah.
And I had to take a different look and approach because I was actually doing that technique combined with some qigong techniques that I was learning. So I was storing the
Qigong.
energy in my lower
One split.
dantian,
Yeah.
lower chakra area, you can say, and then I was raising the energy up. And I had too much voltage and completely blacked out. So it was like a big key point of you have to take this knowledge seriously. One, not to mix different modalities. Two, and I didn't think that I was quite ready for the journey that I was going down at that time. And so I kind of took a step back from Kriya Yoga and I felt like I needed to learn how to control my mind first. And this is why I started kind of like diving into TM and a mental technique of having more access to my mental capabilities.